Yes, just gone 8:50 here in Johannesburg, South Africa this morning, and COVID-19 is obviously still a major story across the world. And this investigation by Amabungani here in South Africa reveals the fear of prisoners at Johannesburg's well-known Sun City prison, as it's known, as COVID-19 spreads. Now, official figures saying that COVID-19 has killed about 20 inmates in South Africa's prisons, but some prisoners say it may be far more. I'm joined by the author of this article, Chris Gilili from Amabungani. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program.
Good morning as well, and
All right.
thank you for having me on the program.
All right, so you've managed to get into and speak to many of these prisoners, or some of these prisoners, at Sun City here in Johannesburg. What has been the concerns that they have raised and would like the public to know about?
Thank you, Azza, for that question. This investigation came to us as Amapungane in form of a tip-off from one of the inmates inside the Sun City prison, raising their concerns about the issues of them being overcrowded, whereby they in cells that have the capacity to take about probably 20 prisoners at a time. In cells like that, you actually have now double that number. Maybe you have about 50 something or 40 something prisoners. So they were concerned about the fear, their fear of that they might be spreading the coronavirus amongst them. And it does not end there, because they are saying that they see some of their fellow inmates getting sick in front of them, but then there's no testing that is made available to them by the prison. And then this escalated to a point whereby they went on a hunger strike, especially there in Sun City, where they say they won't be eating unless prison management comes and addresses some of these concerns. And some of them are the fact that they revealed to us that since March this year, before the lockdown and before the COVID-19 wave spread within South Africa, they haven't had access to hot water for showering, which also makes them vulnerable to the virus, as it has been known and it has been addressed that it thrives on cold temperatures. So those are some of the concerns, and the fact that they didn't have PPEs. There was an inadequate supply of PPE, and then they still allege even now that the numbers that DCS, the Department of Correctional Services, has given of those who have died is much lesser than what they allege to know. And then we are still, as we reveal on the story, that we are still doing an investigation about that to find how truthful that is.
Yes, I see that in the story itself, you managed to speak to the spokesperson for the DCS, Singabakon Komalu, and they are suggesting that the situation is under control. But what you've also penned in your article is that in some instances, people are sleeping three per bed, and that definitely does not constitute social distancing at all.
Yes, definitely. The conversation with Singabako was in June, whereby before the outbreak was a very known thing inside the prisons, because as we know, initially the wave was more present it broke in East London inside prison facilities. So Singabako made that impression that as DCS, they have the situation under control in terms of they are making plans to make sure they have spaces inside prisons whereby they can quarantine those who are found to be positive from the coronavirus. And then they are also making ways to have makeshift hospitals for prisoners who might be in need of hospital attention. They have, to an extent, as they also had leveled that against with us in one of their media responses to Amapungani. They have also shown that they have those quarantine facilities in some parts of the country. But then now, when it comes to the issue of overcrowding, we have found that there's a failure in the part of GCS, as also revealed to Amapungane by the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services, that they have received an avalanche of complaints from the inside, from civil society structures that are complaining about the level of overcrowding inside prisons, and the fact that DCS didn't act fast or swerve in them dealing with the parole that was okayed by the president as soon as the COVID-19, because the prisoners allege that they still have prisoners who deserve parole, who have been on life imprisonment, who have been fully rehabilitated supposedly, and then they should be out by now, but they are still on the inside, which is also part of what they were striking for over the past few weeks.
And I see that you also managed to speak to Logan Maestri, who's another department official, spokesperson there. And he has put forward the projection that this is actually an attempt to get inmates all riled up and push for more or further release of inmates as an excuse during COVID-19 to get them out of jail. And that's what's been done here, or what the prisoners are actually complaining about and trying to do. Is there any truth to that? I mean, are prisoners trying to use COVID-19 to escape from prison?
As I indicated earlier, Azra, I wouldn't really put my finger on it and say that is true, that there is there is a campaign out there, as Mr. Maestri impressed, that there is a campaign that is being created to create or to project a prison environment that is not conducive, that is ungovernable. And as a matter of fact, people trying, those inmates working with civil society to try and push for mass releases, because he also emphasizes that is not going to happen under their watch. So I wouldn't say that there is some truth to that. As I indicated, that our investigation on this story is still ongoing. So we are probably looking at building up a part 2 case to the story that we published the past week.
Mr. Chris Gilili, writer for the Amabungane Center for Investigative Journalism, we thank you so much for your time this morning and for sharing all of that information with us. You go well, sir.
Thank you, Azra, and thank you for having me on your show. Have a good day.
Yes, that brings us to 8:58 this morning. We take a break. When we come back, it will be the news out of the studios of Al Ansar.